COVID-19 pandemic is triggering some familiar feelings among Americans of a certain age. They've been here before. Our cover story is reported by Rita Braver.
Sorrow, fear, hospitals overwhelmed, closures, all due to the deadly coronavirus, and all hallmarks of another deadly and mysterious virus that terrified Americans starting at the turn of the 20th century, polio. One huge outbreak in New York City, June 1916.
Panic soon begins. Those who can pack their bags and prepare to leave town. Thousands hurry toward the piers and railroad stations.
As Walter Cronkite recounted in this 1958 CBS News broadcast, that was just the beginning. After World War II, polio became an ever greater national threat.
The 3-year statistics run 50,000 polio cases, 103,000 cases, 122,000 cases. Where will it end?
What were your symptoms?
High temperature, pain, headaches. I could not move. I couldn't stand up.
Joanne Yeager was a healthy 14-year-old in Denver when she got polio in the summer of 1951. She would spend 3 months in the hospital before the disease started to retreat as mysteriously as it attacked. Like COVID-19, polio had different effects on different people. It left Yeager with permanent weakness in her legs. Still,
Did you ever stop and think, wow, a lot of kids died from polio?
Yes, and that was brought home real quickly because on the same floor that the ward was on were the iron lungs.
Iron lungs were primitive respirators, breathing for patients. Like COVID-19, which strikes older adults more frequently, polio had a greater impact on a vulnerable age group.
One of the things that tugged at the heartstrings of everyone is that polio, for some reason, targeted young kids.
Carl Kurlander spent 10 years researching and co-producing a documentary about polio.
The fear, my friends, is polio.
He says one pivotal adult was left paralyzed from the waist down. Franklin D. Roosevelt, who would later become president. When did Roosevelt contract the virus?
When he was 39 years old.
Roosevelt helped launch the organization that came to be called the March of Dimes.
Dimes pour into the White House to help the fight.
All in an effort to curb this dreaded disease.
With polio, there was really no effective treatment. So it was really a sense of helplessness, probably like we're feeling today with coronavirus.
The March of Dimes helped fund a groundbreaking effort.
This is the place, the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine. This is the man, the director of the Virus Research Laboratory, Dr. Jonas E. Salk.
Jonas Salk and his team spent 6 years working on a vaccine, conducting a huge nationwide trial on 1.8 million children.
The most extraordinary field trial in medical history.
And no one knew whether it was safe, whether it would be effective, but people were so both afraid and believers that they'd volunteer their school kids to be guinea pigs for this new vaccine.
But in 1955,
one of the greatest triumphs in medical history is achieved.
Success.
History is very important to understand.
Dr. Paul Dupre, who holds the Jonas Salk Chair and heads the Center for Vaccine Research at the University of Pittsburgh, says the march of history gives today's scientists an advantage.
We can manipulate, we can alter the genetics, the composition of these viruses in ways that Dr. Salk could only have but dreamed.
Jonas Salk, of course, had competition. Dr. Albert Sabin developed an oral vaccine a few years later. Now, Dr. Dupre, who's trying to adapt the measles vaccine to combat the coronavirus, is one of scores of researchers around the world all working toward the same goal.
Competition is something which drives innovation, but there's another C. We need to be collaborative. And that's not just colleagues in the United States, that's colleagues all over the world.
The FDA just approved an emergency treatment for COVID-19, but the greatest hope is for a vaccine. Dupre and his team are already testing theirs on mice, and elsewhere human trials have begun, several already showing great promise.
Do you feel that the public is really behind scientists in the way they were behind those looking for the polio vaccine?
I do. I think it's hard in an instantaneous world that we live in. Everything needs to be done yesterday. It's hard to be patient, but I think strong leadership, clarity from scientists helps the public understand that we are doing our best to defeat this virus.
Neither Jonas Salk nor Albert Sabin and their teams personally profited from their discoveries, as Salk explained to CBS's Edward R. Murrow.
Who owns the patent on this vaccine?
Well, the people, I would say. There is no patent. Could you patent the sun?
65 years later, with polio all but eradicated, it remains to be seen if the creators of a coronavirus vaccine will feel the same way. As for 83-year-old Joanne Yeager, who still lives with the effects of polio.
What lessons do you think we can learn if we study the polio epidemic?
That we can be survivors of some of these illnesses, and we can come out as better people.
Historian Carl Kurlander.
We've got to have belief in the scientific community. Joni Mitchell and Neil Young had polio, Francis Ford Coppola, Itzhak Perlman, and ordinary people. Once they came through this disease, they were able to really become the best they could be. And I think that we're at our best when we work as a country and as a world to defeat the unseen enemy.
I want to weigh in on what they're talking about right here. It's remarkable in what the scientific medical communities can do today whenever it comes to genetically going in and modifying something to the degree of having the brilliancy to be able to do so and still maintain a safe environment for the public pertaining to these vaccination shots. It's just absolutely remarkable. Today, I mean, whenever I study it and look at it, it's like, wow, you really went beyond where no man have ever gone before. But getting back to the statement that one of the individuals made pertaining to patenting something, I kind of look at what I'm involved in pertaining to the ministry of something that I personally cannot patent and say, this belongs to me. This ideal was an ideal that I engineered and that I should draw attention towards becoming world renowned, known, and getting recognition for. Because this, first of all, was not of my doings, number one. It was of God's. And number two, it is for the world. It isn't just for one particular nationality. It isn't just for one particular country. It is for the world. It is for the world to embrace. And of course, for the past 30 plus years, I see how the community by and large here in this area has embraced this message. But by and large, it is for the world to embrace of not just hope for a better tomorrow as far as peace and utopia, but it is a covenant which means a promise from God that there will be peace, that there will be a utopia, that there will be an outpouring of God's Holy Spirit, and we will see the meek inherit the earth. This isn't something that I've engineered. This isn't something that I have sat down and modified and decided, well, this is how I'm going to do this. No, no, no. That's the part that the general public don't understand. I did not select this to happen to me. It selected me. I did not choose it. And because of it, people should try to focus in on more about biblical Bible prophecy. And I'm starting now to hear other ministers and other evangelists throughout the world of a great awakening that now lays at the feet of the nations pertaining to straightening out their bad ways and trying to reorchestrate their good. I'm hearing that more so now. People writing books, people making claims that they had made predictions that there was going to be a great plague that was going to fall upon humanity, but at the same time there was going to be an outbreak of God's precious Holy Spirit pertaining to a revival that would escalate into a revolution. I'm hearing more and more of that now today, since the COVID-19 has broken out, than I ever have. And it does talk about a great falling away. And that great falling away, I'm pretty sure that even the agnostic and the atheist will agree that for the past 7, 8, 10, 12, actually going back 30 years, we have went through a great falling away here in America that has just been demoralizing to the general public in every way that you can imagine. So as we step off into the future, regardless whether it's a squiggly twirl or a big loop, let us always remember that the past has a tendency of repeating itself towards the ugly. But the past also has a tendency of repeating itself towards what the future and how grand and great that our promises of tomorrow may be. Only preparing us for the past and the present to properly prepare us for the future. Once more, we here at the Windmill Ministries at 291 Thompson Road, Sharon, Tennessee, wants to recognize that each and every person is as valuable as the next one. Each and every person has a dramatic meaning in where we are and where we are to go. In not focusing so much on the past, but focusing on the future. We appreciate all of those who are part of our viewing agency, those who have prayed for us, prayed with us, those who want to continue to be part of the Windmill Ministries. We want to say thank you in the highest level of degree. Because once more, it's not just about one person, but it's about all of us. Hang on, Toots. 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 Hang on. Hang on, I'll take that down to you youngins.
See, from photographer Robin Fader.
I don't have all the answers. Figure it out. We can talk it through. You don't need to shout, asking how we get here or where we should go. You should know. you're not alone. Ooh, you're not
Here's a razor that works differently. The Gillette Skin Guard. It has a guard between the blades that helps protect skin. The Gillette Skin Guard.
While you do your part to beat coronavirus, America's biopharmaceutical companies are working around the clock to do ours. Testing existing medicines, developing new treatments and vaccines, and collaborating with the FDA, NIH, and CDC. We're working with doctors and hospitals on over 235 clinical trials and ramping up production capabilities to ensure these medicines are available. Because science is how we get back to normal.
Keep it clean with the Roomba Robot Vacuum. Only Roomba uses 2 multi-surface rubber brushes to clean all your floors. And with patented Dirt Detect technology, Roomba finds dirt throughout your home. If it's not for my robot, it's not a Roomba.
They are growing across almost every sector of the economy.
How long before you're broke?
Now, where can the new jobless turn?
How many of you applied for?
Tonight on CBS.
Tonight, join us for Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I hate snakes!
The CBS Sunday night movies are back. Tonight on CBS.
A new All Rise, Monday at 9/8 Central on CBS.
It can happen abruptly. Sunday morning cut short when the station you watch airs a special report. Never fear is our message. We're still easy to find at our all-access service as well as online. Henry Winkler first made his mark as the Fonz on the TV series Happy Days way back in the 1970s. These days, the stay-at-home orders have put acting on hold, leaving him time to speak through the window with our Tracy Smith.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days.
If there's anyone you'd want to see during a pandemic, it's actor, writer, producer, director, and all-around nice guy, Henry Winkler. Even if it's through a glass door.
So, Henry, how are you?
I figured this out. I am like everybody else in this country. I bet we have gone through every exact emotion, all without knowing it together.
He's quarantining in his home in LA, a spot that's still peaceful despite construction nearby.
I feel like I'm admiring you through a shop window.
My sweater?
Are you comfortable opening the door if I step back a little bit?
I am.
Okay, let's do it, yeah? Okay.
Somehow, Henry Winkler has always seemed comfortable in whatever situation or role he's taken on. His latest, action. Acting teacher Gene Cousineau.
Wow.
The hit HBO series, Barry.
Bravo! I just saw you go to a place tonight I have never seen before. Okay, I see you're still in that place. I'm going to leave you to your process. They can wait till Monday.
In a show that's part comedy, part tragedy, Bill Hader plays a hitman who decides to try acting.
So we're going to be okay? I promise you. We're going to work through this.
Winkler is his beloved but self-absorbed mentor.
Now, I bill my private classes through another loan out. So I'm just going to go and get that ledger.
Last month, the cast and crew thought they were going to start production on season number 3.
We were at the table reading the first 4 scripts, and we were going to come back the next day and read 3 and 4. And went home and never went back.
This was on March 18th?
18th.
Have you kept in touch with other members of the cast?
All the time. We have a group chat and send funny things. I am filled with anxiety things, hello things, I'm hugging you things.
To the Barry cast, he's a father figure of sorts. But to so many of us, Henry Winkler will always be the coolest teenager on the block. Arthur Herbert Fonzarelli, the Fonz, from the TV comedy Happy Days, which premiered in 1974 and made Winkler world famous.
All right, now listen up, girl. One time only. Line right up here, kiss the fonts for $1. Now that's a bargain at any price.
All these years later, on Halloween,
So here he is.
one of Winkler's 5 grandkids actually dressed up as the Fonz.
That's so great.
And, you know, I didn't know he was going to do this. When I walked in the house, my heart flew out of my body. If my heart could leave my body and just soar, it would have.
But now he and his grandkids have to keep their distance. They visit with him from the driveway.
Not being able to touch them, to hug them, to squeeze them, maybe worst of all. Maybe worst of all.
Still, he knows he's lucky to be stuck inside with a partner, Stacy, his wife of more than 40 years.
Have you learned anything new about each other during this lockup together?
No, but I will say the other day, honestly, I said to Stacy, I'm so proud of us. I am so proud because this is tough. You know, I don't know that two people were meant to be together 24 hours a day. We have gotten a rhythm and we get along so well.
Tell me what you've been doing.
Jigsaw puzzle, walking the dogs, binge watching, reading Daniel Silva, eating, a lot of good eating.
He's also been co-writing another in his series of kids' books and giving pep talks to elementary students studying at home.
No matter how hard learning is for you, remember this. It has nothing to do with how brilliant you are.
Winkler says he didn't read a book until he was 31 years old.
We should mention that when we talk about how you're reading Daniel Silva and you're writing these books, people might not remember that you're dyslexic.
I am very dyslexic. But I mean, I am dyslexic to the point of distraction. I had a Zoom meeting early this morning and I couldn't figure out, I didn't see what to do. And so it just is.
Wow, even now, despite all that you've overcome.
You never get better. And every book I've read, I have on the shelf as a triumph.
Henry Winkler.
And there's another triumph we should mention.
Can we take a peek at the Emmy? Is it somewhere?
I have it.
So you have it there?
In 2018, Winkler won a Primetime Emmy, his first for his work in Barry.
Oh my God. Okay. I only have 37 seconds. I wrote this 43 years ago.
Okay. And she's got wings. So in the morning, you never know where you're going to find her. But what a thing. I am, for all time, an Emmy winner.
And maybe, at this particular time, Henry Winkler is a comfort, a reminder that good things can and will endure.
You got Fonz when you were 27.
Yes.
And Cousineau, the part on Barry, when you were 72.
Unbelievable.
Beautiful symmetry.
Unbelievable. If I did not understand gratitude before that, just that I had a dream that I would not be a flash in the pan. I had a dream that I would just continue. And I did. Through the help of some wonderful friends, through tenacity. Amazing.
And that's one thing that we must all take under consideration, is having the tenacity to and the drive to go on, to be that in which what you have passionate feelings towards doing and becoming, no matter who you are, no matter what your age. You know, whenever you see people in college, some of them at the age of 50, 60, 70 years old, that's an inspiration of and for humanity, because there never reaches an age limit to where somebody can continue to keep wanting to grow, expand, evolve, and yes, learn. Learn of a better quality of life. That way you understand life better. You know, whenever the Bible says that whenever I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. But whenever I become an adult, I put away these childish things. And that's that way regardless of what race that we are, male or female. That whenever we become an adult, we put away those insensitive, insignificant things that we at one time thought was very, very valuable in our lives. That now we look at it as a bleak moment in time towards saying, you know what? I used to like to play with Barbie dolls, but now I just admire them. I used to play with little trucks and toys, but now I just admire the children that likes to be intrigued by them today, because the very people that played with Tonker toys whenever they was only 3, 4, 5 years old, today they've went to work working for Caterpillar, and now instead of them driving a little bitty toy, now they drive a piece of machinery, just like my son Nicholas, that drives a piece of machinery that's valued at almost $3 million towards a concrete pumping truck, one of the biggest in not only the nation, but one of the biggest in the world. So yes, the adventures that we pursued in as children will materialize in our adult lives towards becoming doctors, nurses, hairstylists, good communicators, spokesmen, people that can hold concerts of all sorts, people who can enlighten a certain sector of people as they themselves are growing. Let's never forget that each and every person holds so much value in who we are and what we are as a piece of the puzzle. And without every piece, the puzzle is not, has not, and will not ever be complete. We was all put here on a grand design towards having a purpose. And I understand and realize that a lot of kids nowadays has a chip on their block, has a chip on their shoulders, because they felt unwanted. They felt unloved. They felt like that their parents had abandoned them. They felt like that they wasn't good enough in the circle of life to go forth to be an asset to society. And I got news for those kids today. You are important. Everything you say, everything you do, what part of asset of life that you partake in towards becoming a predominant, productive citizen to society, regardless whether you be on this side of the continent or another side of the continent, you are valuable. And don't never let no one steer you into a bleak of darkness to the point that you don't either understand or you don't believe that you do have a purpose, a sole purpose to be that in which what God the Father has created us all to become. Even as Mr. Winkler, the Fonz, the great Fonz, who said it wasn't until the age of 30 before he sat down and read a whole novel. I can personally communicate with him on the same level that to this day, I have never read a complete total novel other than the novel of the Holy Scriptures pertaining to the Bible, the book of life. And just because one is more focused on one thing versus another does not make one person any more greater or any more or less, because at the foot of the cross, regardless whether you be the Fonz or you be the commissioner that works in a bank or a church, or you be the Pope himself. We all have that value of putting those pieces of puzzle together, of making a complete whole. And until we understand that and realize that as a society, we're probably going to take one step forward and two steps back. So please, if you don't agree or if you don't take heed to any of the things coming from the Windmill Ministries, always believe in yourself and always believe in a better future for tomorrow. Maybe not necessarily for ourselves, depending upon what age we are and what condition that we're in, but believing in the future for humanity. That there is always hope for a bigger, better, stronger, more productive society that is only at the arm's length of each of us if we'll only reach out and obtain it. Grab a hold of it. Endure it. Embrace it. Because this life we only ordinarily get one chance at. Some of us, such as myself, was fortunate enough that we have been given multiple chances. And in each and every chance, we realize the precious value towards taking each and every breath that we take. Because we understand that we was only put here by the grace of God and left here and remain here by the grace of God. And because we put value in the grace of God and the fact that God has given us a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chance, the value rises and grows way high. And the reason why is because we have the intellect of understanding that every day, every hour, every year, every moment puts us that much closer towards the end of our destiny. And one day, the final destiny will be the destiny of the Creator. The destiny to the point where He said that He would wipe away all our tears, all our sorrows, all our shortcomings, and that He would recreate a new heaven and a new earth so that we could all live harmoniously together in heaven, in peace, evolving, growing, learning for the next assignment towards where we are to plant our existence the next time, and the next time, and the next time after that next time. And the reason why is because the very life that's within us is in fact part of that life that the Almighty gave us. Thanks again, coming from the Windmill Ministries here at 291 Thompson Road or 430 Beech Grove Road, Sharon, Tennessee. We appreciate your prayers. We appreciate your support. We appreciate the value that each and every person holds in a better, productive future for society in the future. Thank you, and shalom.